Hey, welcome to video number 236 of Walker This Way with Hazel Walker, the queen of all things
BNI and networking.
I am Mark Simmons. We haven't asked before we dive in. Bottom right corner of your screen, there's a little button there that says subscribe. Click on it right now. We'll give you a moment. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will love you forever.
Just hit the little bell.
Subscribe. So thank you. How are you doing, Hazel?
I'm doing well. Got lots going on with leadership team training and all of those kinds of things coming up.
Yeah, that's coming up quickly.
Yeah.
And then it's go time again for the new team.
I know. And sometimes it's really good when we get new blood in, people who haven't held leadership positions for a role before. And they're discovering their ability to be a leader.
Yeah, right. That's really good.
Yeah.
Part of that discovery is the accountability of being a leader.
Yeah, accountability.
It's one of the core values of BNI, accountability. And one of the things I discuss when I go through the core values, like when I'm doing workshops or in chapters. So I always tell them, put up your hand if you love accountability. And it's usually half the chapter will and half the chapter. And then I say, the half their hands up. A lot of you are probably not telling the truth either, but good for you for putting your hand up. Because people generally don't like accountability. But who hates accountability the most is people like me, the business coaches of the world. We love holding you accountable. Do not ever try to hold us accountable. It's not our thing, which is why we hold you accountable. We do for others what we don't do for ourselves. But accountability is actually a very big word with a lot of different, sort of arms coming off of it. And when you ask people, what does accountability really mean? Like, what is it about? What does it really mean? It's a hard thing to nail down and describe.
Yeah, it can be. It's about taking responsibility for your actions, right? Mm-hmm. Being accountable. But it's also about what makes a good leader is not just the accountability. Accountability comes easy to the leaders who step into a role and take ownership. Like, I own this role and I'm fully invested in the ownership of this, which means I'm willing to be accountable. Right. And that really makes accountability work. And I find the people who don't like to take accountability also don't like to take ownership of their things, their stuff. Right?
They're the blamers. They blame.
Yeah, they don't own their own stuff. And it's usually outside external forces that causes them to do the things or not do the things that they do. And that's where they place blame, is outside of themselves, right? Yeah. But the people who actually step into that ownership typically don't do that. And you can see that in BNI chapters. Like, you're in a BNI, in fact, you can see that in pretty much every organization I've ever been in, from corporate to volunteer groups, right? Is the people who take ownership are accountable for all of their things that they're doing. And the people who don't take ownership just blame it off, which is one of the reasons, Mark, I really detest the words when people say to me, I'm doing it as a favor to you. I'm doing it as a favor to the chapter. I'm just doing the chapter a favor. Oh, yeah. That means they're taking no ownership at all. So whether it gets done well or doesn't get done at all, not on me. I was just doing you a favor.
Yeah. And we have had in the past, more than a couple times, the message coming to us is, it's not about me. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for the members. But then the members don't even know that this person's doing it. They have no idea. Right. They don't know.
Right. So here's something I'm going to read something, okay? Because I really like this and think it makes a really great point. Being accountable is about being responsible for the result, right? So I am accountable for the result. If I do something or don't do something and I get a good result or a negative result, that's accountability and I own it, right? Ownership is about the initiative. Accountability is about the follow through. And it's not just about the individual and their goals or their commitments, right? It's not about my goals and my commitments. It's about acknowledging that my actions affect other team members' ability to accomplish their goals. Right? So if you look at a membership committee, for example, or a president, the vice president, the membership committee in a BNI chapter, if I take that role, and I don't take ownership of it and I don't really do it, I'm just holding the role, that has a direct effect upon everybody else in the chapter and their ability to reach their goals, to make the money that they want to make for their business, to grow their businesses, right? You're having a direct effect on the entire membership. And I say that to membership committees all the time. Like, your role is to look at the well-being of the entire chapter, not just the few and not just you.
Yeah.
Right? Because you affect everybody in that group. And it's the same holds true with our team. When you look at our consultants, their ability to do the things in ownership, taking ownership of that role, affects that chapter's ability to help everybody else. And it also affects our ability to help everybody else. It's about ownership and accountability kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. And I know when, on the occasional time when a member has their seat open or they're in conflict and they reach out to me complaining about, I did this and I did it. I didn't do this. This happened. So my response back to them is always two questions. Number one is, what ownership or accountability are you taking for your own success? And what accountability are you taking for the success of your chapter? Like, what are you owning here? Because all they're doing is complaining about everybody else, but there's no inward to any of it. And then that generally stops the conversation and the emails and the hate and the conflict. They're like, take time to think about it, because you are responsible for it. Something happened because you made it happen. What did you do?
What did you do or not do?
Not do, yeah, exactly.
Quite often, it's not something that you did. It's more what you didn't do. For instance, I had a person who recently had their position. The chapter said, you need to do this, and they didn't get done. And they said, you need to do this, and it didn't get done. And the position was opened, and their complaint was, well, I shouldn't need to do that. And I said, well, it wasn't just that, but if I look at your report, you're also not participating in the group. You're not giving referrals. I've given 17 referrals, and thank you for closed business and this, that, and the other. And I go, that's not what the report shows.
Yeah.
Well, the report's wrong. I go, are you entering it into your app on the phone? Are you putting it in on the app? I didn't know I had to do that. If you would have done what they asked you to do at the beginning, you would have gotten all that information. Do you see how that has stair-stepped you to where you're at now?
Yeah.
And he just couldn't take any ownership of that. Because he was doing the business. I shouldn't have to report it. Well, now you're trying to skirt accountability.
Right. And you bring up an important point about the roles too. They are there for a reason. They're not just for fun. I had a situation yesterday where we had to do some video in our amenities room here, where I live. And they're like, absolutely not. 2 days ago, they stopped anybody being able to go in, and if you're not renting the room, being able to do anything. And I'm like, what? It's crazy. But the truth about it is that rule came in for a reason. It's there for a reason, because somebody or some people ruined it for everybody else. But like every rule, if you will, it came from something that happened that now needed a rule around it.
Right. We're experiencing that in my condo building here.
Yeah.
The new dog rule. We now have locks on the gym. There's fees going to be charged for using all these other amenities because multiple people have been abusing it.
Right.
And not taking care of things. And so all of us now,
everybody pays the consequence of it, but it's much in the same way. The rules are created with purpose. The rules were created from something. The rules were created because there was a need for something, but they're all super important. to run a cohesive, successful money-making chapter?
Yeah, if definitely, but to run a cohesive,
Cohesive?
yeah, cohesive, anything, business, board of directors, any kind of small business, you have to have all of that. You have to be accountable and you have to take ownership of everything in your life. I own my life. I am responsible for all things good and bad in my life.
Right. And I think it's actually, if you want to make it, could be really simplistic. Accountability is do what you say you're going to do. Do what you signed up for. Do what you say you're going to do. Just do the
Take
thing.
ownership of it. Do it and do it with pride.
Yeah.
Right? And know that everything you're doing and you're not doing is impacting all of your fellow members and their ability to succeed.
Yeah. The truth is, you actually are all that powerful. You do have an impact on the people around you. You really do. You really do. So, this is good information. Think about what accountability means to you. Think about what accountability and ownership you're taking for your role, for your business, for your family. It's multi-layered.
Your membership.
Yeah. And look for the opportunities to step it up, level it up.
Absolutely. It'll change everything.
It'll change everything. All right, Hazel Walker. The next time we talk, no, you won't be here in Vancouver yet. We'll have one more, and then you'll be back. You'll be back home.
Doing some face-to-face stuff.
We'll do some, we got some fun things planned for some future Walker This Ways. Until next time.
See you then.
Bye-bye.